Yeah, hello everyone. I would like to give you a short introduction about the UNESCO Baltic Sea Project. This is the UNESCO Baltic Sea Project Spring Camp, and I would like to tell you a little more about this project, the UNESCO Baltic Sea Project. And the first thing I would like to do, just very briefly, go into some history. This is a map of Europe from the year when the Baltic Sea Project was founded. This is a map from 1989, and the BSP was founded in Finland. And as you can see on the map, there were, as a German, we focus on this year, there were two Germanys, right? And there was the Soviet Union, and there was no Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. And that was the map of Europe divided by the Iron Curtain into Eastern Europe and Western Europe. And not really that much contact between the countries on the western side of the Iron Curtain and on the eastern side. And there was a lady in Finland, her name is Liisa Jääskeläinen. Who of you knows Liisa Jääskeläinen? That's only some people. I met her again last year to really hear what that is she could teach us about the beginning of the Baltic Sea Project. And she said the idea was bringing the countries together across the Baltic Sea, have teachers and students work together, for example, from Finland and from the Soviet Union, which wasn't really easy in these times because there wasn't really contact. There was the Iron Curtain. She told me about a story when she had to send a letter to St. Petersburg, which was Leningrad in those days. Today, this is Russia, not really far away from Helsinki. And she said what she did is she went to the harbor in Helsinki and tried to find a ship with people from the Soviet Union that was going to St. Petersburg, giving them a pile of letters for them to deliver them privately in St. Petersburg or Leningrad in those times, because there wasn't really a reliable post service. And the idea was talking about something that was easy to talk about, and that was the Baltic Sea, that was the waters of the Baltic Sea and pollution and such things, no political things, but have students and teachers, such as today, students and teachers and experts and other people work together from everywhere in the Baltic Sea area. That was Liisa Jääskeläinen's idea. And this is what we are still doing. And this is a current map of the Baltic Sea Project. And you can see Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, also Russia with the St. Petersburg area currently not cooperating, as you all might know, with the new countries, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, and Poland. All of them are participating in the Baltic Sea Project. I know Vasa is not on the map, I've seen that. And this map indicates the southernmost school we've ever had in the Baltic Sea Project, somewhere in southern Germany. And I would like to explain you what is me who is standing here in front of you. And that has to do with an idea that also Liisa Jääskeläinen had in the very beginning in Finland. The idea was, since there were so many countries cooperating, it should always be one country that kind of coordinated. I think that's the best way to say this. One country doing all the stuff that you do if you want to have a project working together. And that was Finland in the very beginning, from 1989 to 1992. And then it traveled kind of around this general coordination, as we call it. It traveled around the Baltic Sea counterclockwise, from Finland to Sweden, then to Denmark, to Germany, Poland. All countries have been generally coordinating. It came back to Finland in 2018 until 21. Then we had to jump over Sweden because Sweden has closed its UNESCO network. Schools are no longer working together in Sweden as a school network. That is unique in the Baltic Sea Project. This is why Sweden was not ready to do this. So it was Denmark taking over in 2022. And Denmark and Germany would have had to follow 3 years later because it's 3 years turns. And we had the idea 5 years ago that might be a nice idea to having two countries together doing this general coordination, because one country has 3 years usually. It takes 1 year to get used to all this stuff. Then you can have 1 year when you really can do something, and in the third year you are thinking about how are we handing this over to the next country. So we said if it's two countries cooperating, Denmark and Germany, then we have 6 years. Then we hopefully can make a true difference. And this is why it's Denmark and Germany together, who are generally coordinating. Danish colleagues are not here, unfortunately. The colleagues who are in the general coordination, and I'm the German part of all this. The Baltic Sea project, during its time of existence, has produced a couple of materials that you still can work with. You will all find them on the Baltic Sea project website. This is, for example, a material that was created in Denmark in the year 2000 when there was a very large conference. And these are the Baltic Sea project learners' guides, books for teachers, for students, for people who wish to work with certain topics that have to do with sustainable development, education for sustainable development at school. That was paper books printed in paper copies and delivered to the schools. But these books are all available on the BSP website as PDFs, so you could download them and use them for teaching or for private reading if you wanted. And the Baltic Sea project is, of course, also, as you all know, about cooperation and having a lot of fun during this cooperation. This is a picture from the last Åre camp. I'm going to talk about that again later. And what we also did, and this is something that comes from Germany and from Denmark together, we invented global citizenship education. You already talked about that. We invented global citizenship education as a program for the Baltic Sea project. The idea that all schools, teachers, students who wish to do that work with global citizenship education. And that was a decision being made in Finland as well in 2019. And here is an example of how we're doing this. A conference, a bit similar to what we are doing here. More people, it was over 300. And in the Global Citizenship Conference, in this Global Citizenship Conference, we wanted not teachers or coordinators such as me standing in front. It was students who ran this conference. That's 2 German students who talked to an audience of more than 300 people. And we were a bit hesitating before the conference. Is that possible that students, that was 16, 17-year-olds in English language, talk to an audience of more than 300 people regularly? Also, if it comes to spontaneous things, right? You can't read out a text, you have to react on things that are happening. And they could do that. And they haven't only done that once. So what happens in the Baltic Sea project is what you're experiencing now. Conferences, camps, for example, the Schleswig camp. Who of you has been to the Schleswig camp this year? That is some people, thank you. And like Sali, like now, and later this year there will also be the Åre camp, organized by Germany. And here are some pictures of the Åre camp from 2019, I think. So that's really a camp. It's tents you live in, and it might be cold in the evening, and we have a kitchen crew, and we have, of course, workshops taking place outside, and people presenting things. And what we're also doing is working with the whole school approach and the whole institution approach. That has to do with that. The idea is that when you have workshops, when you run a camp, that we have students and teachers and experts closely working together. So for example, when a workshop is being led, it's experts plus students running this workshop. Of course, this needs a little preparation because the experts and the students have to talk together, and it's not about just helping hands. The students' task would be really being a kind of an expert in this workshop and leading. And that is something we are doing and preparing and on lots of conferences. And what you can see here is an invitation, because this is ahead. This is in June, right? On the 21st to the 23rd of June, there will be a national meeting of the German BSP schools taking place close to Kiel. And we have an appointment in the Baltic Sea project with all the national coordinators that we kind of open up our national meetings if this is possible. This national meeting would, of course, take place in German language. If any one of you, if there was a delegation, for example, from Finland, or from Denmark, or from any other BSP country, or individual experts from Finland saying, I would like to attend this, and I would like to figure out how the German BSP, Baltic Sea project, is working with global citizenship education and the whole school approach, then you're welcome to take part, and we would, of course, change the language of the conference, at least partly to English, that you can fully participate. That's the idea, and that's the agreement we have with all the 9 countries currently working in the BSP. So, of course, that that is not easy for everyone, and not everyone will do that this year or next year, but we would like to give an example. So again, this is an invitation. If you wish to participate in our annual meeting on the 21st to the 25th of June, you can write to me, and then we'll see how we do that you can be a full part of that and see how we are working and get connected to the German people working in the Baltic Sea project. Yes, and that is an example how we worked in the past with this. So students really having a role in our conferences when it comes to cooperation. And this is a coordinators meeting of the Baltic Sea project, held in Copenhagen in March 2022, right when we started the general coordination. And you can see the two Danish people being part of the general coordination who are not here today. You see some elderly people, coordinators from the other countries, and you see young people. We wish young people to cooperate on this level, on coordinators level, so that it's not just the elder people doing making all the decisions. We wish to work in the way of a whole institution approach with young people that regularly cooperate, are being invited to these international conferences. So again, to you, if you think running such an international project with 200 schools in 9 countries, that's the size of the Baltic Sea project, with many other institutions cooperating, for example, the University of Turku here, the University of Helsinki and others. If you think it is interesting to cooperate here, making good decisions and further developing the Baltic Sea project in the next 5 years of the general coordination Denmark and Germany have, be a part of it. Talk to me and contact me, and let's figure out how you do that, how you could take part in such a conference. We have online conferences too, of course, but at least once a year we meet physically, such as this meeting in March 22 in Copenhagen. Another aspect of the Baltic Sea project, the Baltic Sea project is the only project in the UNESCO network worldwide that is working with so many countries in one region. It is quite easy to visit each other, right? It's not that far away from each other. Finland and Germany, for example, or Lithuania and Sweden, or whatever combination you want in the Baltic Sea project. This is a region where we are quite close to each other with different cultures and languages. And there are people in other world regions, and especially this one here in the Western Pacific, who are looking at us and saying, well, this is cool what you're doing in the BSP. Couldn't we do that in our region too? In our region, that is the region Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand, for example. China is not in this, but they are discussing how they could do that. And in one of our conferences, we had visitors from the National Commission for UNESCO of South Korea. And Hideki Maruyama, he wrote to me this morning, I replied to an email this morning. He's from Japan. He's a professor for education for sustainability of the Sophia University in Japan. He wishes to take part in the Årø camp in September this year in southern Denmark. So if you take part in Årø in September, you will meet probably 10 or 7 Japanese university students and Hideki working with us on education for sustainable development. And what's next? I've told you a lot about the history, about projects, about global citizenship education, about books, teaching materials, and so on, and about Liisa Jääskeläinen and how it all started. What comes next depends on you, and on you, and you also, and you, and all of you, and many others in the Baltic Sea project. I would like to say, this is our project, right? It's us defining what's going on. And if you think you have a good idea that you wish to come true in the Baltic Sea project, this might be your platform. Everything we have in the Baltic Sea project, really everything, was developed by engaged and committed teachers and students, starting with Liisa Jääskeläinen, who was a teacher in Finland in 1989. And there are so many who were with us and aren't there any longer because we have existed for more than 30 years. Today it's you who are here, and there are many others who are with us in all the 9 countries. So this is your platform. This is us. This is the Baltic Sea project. It's great you're here. I look forward to cooperating with many of you in the future. Thank you so much.